I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, August the 20th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Bovine respiratory disease steals pounds. Zactran pounds back. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. We're at 130's Doorstep. I've been saying that I would have to see that $130 fats to believe it. It's getting closer all the time. We see it happen in the sale barns all the time, the few fat cattle auctions that we have, brick and mortar sales, but we're almost there. In Iowa, direct basis, we had 129.50 quoted and confirmed on Thursday. That's getting pretty close to 130, and I assume that there'll be some pressure at 130 before they start paying that, because it seems that after, when you get to those barriers, then it seems like it just falls over and goes on. But would love to see us get 130 and start pushing towards 140, because we've sure seen 140 on the board out there for spring. But we're just starting to see a big disparity between what cattle are bringing in the northern feedlot areas and the southern feedlot areas. Northern's been running a premium here for the last several months, but it's starting to get to be quite a gap. I mentioned that we had 129.50 as a top price confirmed in Iowa. The top price confirmed on Thursday in the Southern Plains was 122. So that's a pretty good sized gap, and there's just the market ready supplies in the north are just much tighter. The whole amount of cattle that's in the feed yard, is just so much lighter in the north. There's empty pens in the south. We've just seen a lot of cattle move off those Flint Hills. Of course, those cattle go north too, but a lot of them go into Kansas, and we've seen a lot of cattle move into those Southern Plains lots. They're full, and those guys got a lot of cattle at every range of being finished there, and they having trouble moving those cattle. But also, the north trades cattle. Iowa and Nebraska, they negotiate on cattle, and so they're able to achieve higher prices. The Southern Plains does not negotiate on cattle to speak of, and so it's harder for them to attain higher prices. The entire Texas Panhandle, eastern New Mexico, western Oklahoma, and Oklahoma Panhandle feedlot area has only moved 5,200 head. You get a good feeder cattle auction, they'll have 5,200 head in a single week's auction. That's ridiculous, and everybody's in a sweetheart deal. Everybody just turns in the grid cattle. How do people that just turn cattle in like that think they're ever going to gain a dollar if they continue to do that? It's impossible to gain a dollar if you're selling off last week's market all the time. You can't force the market. You just take what they give you. You get up into Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa 21,700 so far this week. Nebraska nearly 35,000 head traded, negotiated. And and they're trading, they're wheeling and dealing, they're selling cattle. They've got regional packers, which is so important. We've got to keep our regional packers. But they are, and I heard some people talking this week said they're learning how to negotiate again. Yes, you have to get mad, or at least play mad at times if you're negotiating. You have to slam the phone down. It's not as much fun to slam phones down now that everybody's on a cell phone, but you have to play coy a little bit and use your leverage and juke and jive and do some different things to sell the cattle. You don't just nod your head yes whenever they offer you a bid. But a lot of these cattle sellers have fell victim to packer retaliation over the last several years, and so they're a little gun shy about doing that. But when packers are scrambling as much as they are now, especially for the better quality cattle, the higher grading cattle that they have in the north, you can kind of play with them a little bit. You don't have to worry quite so much about retaliation. In the Southern Plains, if you want to sell cattle negotiated, which very, very few people do, if you don't take what the bid they give you, you likely won't hear from them for several weeks. I mean, they'll just dry lock you and won't even let you sell any cattle for several weeks until they train you that you take what they offer you and you don't throw a fit. But that's just kind of the way it's working. Negotiating brings about higher prices, which brings about more volume. And like I said on our last visit, your packers are scrambling for cattle and spinning yarns at the same time that they don't need them. Let's talk about your board on Thursday. August live cattle futures down 62 cents at 123.40. Hasn't really moved all that much this week though. October down 90 at 128.15. Going to your back months, so your live cattle down 20 to down 60. August feeder cattle down 57 cents at 158.27. September down 45 at 162.90. You go on your far outs on your feeder cattle futures down 22 to down 45. And corn was down pretty good on Thursday. New crop December corn ended up down 14.25 cents a bushel on the day's session on Thursday at 5.50 3/4. Fat cattle trade, we had some more trade, but not a lot. But traded cattle every day this week so far, especially in the north. Iowa, 2,000 heads all confirmed on Thursday, but 21,700 head for the week. Live sales 127 to 129.50. I mean, we're talking $4 or $5 higher, guys, because they're negotiating. They're using the competition. These packers are needing cattle. And so, guys are saying, well, how long is this spread going to last between the north and the south? It's likely going to last quite a while until we get short on numbers overall. And I think that we are heading that way. This spring, we should get short on market ready numbers overall. And then we should see that the Southern Plains can start to close that gap a little bit. Or like one of my friends said on Thursday, whenever we start moving all these calves and a lot of these video cattle that are coming to delivery, a lot of the calves are moving, we're going to get short of trucks. We'll get short of trucks here this fall. When we get short of trucks, likely it's going to be tougher for your packers to dip down into those cheap cattle and bring them up and fill holes in the north. And so we should start seeing things start shaking up a little bit more there, and we could start seeing some lot higher prices whenever we get to that point. But it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out. Dress sales in Iowa 198 to 205. Nebraska 4,800 head confirmed on Thursday, 34,700. For the week so far, 126 to 127 on a live basis, and dress sales from $2 to $201.50. Kansas 6,800 head for the day confirmed on Thursday. They didn't have a hell of a lot more than that all week, only 7,100 head for the weekend. And as a comparison, Kansas has moved less cattle this week compared to what they normally do than Texas has. Really, really slow week in Kansas. But I assume that we'll have more sales on Friday. But 121 to mostly all 122 live basis in Kansas. Texas 2,700 head confirmed on Thursday, 5,200 head for the week. 122 was the only price they had on live basis there. I want to talk about Lanesboro, Minnesota, and I'm going to be going up into that area of Minnesota and giving a presentation here right after Labor Day. Looking forward to going up in there. I used to live up in there. I lived up in the Twin Cities for a year or so whenever I was a trainee with USDA Market News and worked there at the South St. Paul Stockyards. Also worked over at Minneapolis Grain Exchange on the cash floor in Minneapolis. Which that seems like another lifetime ago, but I was up there. But on Wednesday at the fat cattle auction in the ring in Lanesboro, Minnesota, they sold colored cattle. They call them in that country the good beef cattle. That'd be mostly black, but they call them colored cattle, from 127 to 134 in the ring. So, and we're seeing a lot of that in these fat cattle auctions. They sold Holsteins, fat Holstein steers from 116.5 to 124.5. It's hard to believe that a Holstein steer will bring more than big long strings and big pens of good cattle in Kansas and Texas, but that's the way it is. And I think anytime you get competition involved, then you end up having higher prices. Who'd have thought that? Box beef cutout values higher again, especially on Select. Earlier this week we saw Choice lunge forward big time with like an $8 gain in one day session. And now Select did it here on Thursday, but Choice Cuts 341.63. That was up $1.55 compared to the previous day. That is Choice Cuts on Thursday afternoon, up $75.14 for the month compared to the same time a month ago. Wow, you talk about moving. How about Selects? 316.41 100. That was up $6.61 a hundred there for the day. And on Select, like I said, they really jumped up. And your Select Cuts box beef cutout values are up almost $67 compared to a month ago. Your Slaughter, 479,000 through Thursday. That's 17,000 more than last week. 9,000 more than the same week a year ago. If we'd happen to have a decent Saturday, we could gain some ground here on our slaughter and be a lot bigger than what we had either last week or last year. What else is going on? Secondary sponsor here on the Feeder Flash on this session is from my good friend Justin Tupper at St. Onge Livestock, St. Onge, South Dakota. He's got a big sale here on Friday. He wants to advertise it here. I'm going to do the best I can. Going to have around 3,500 head. Talked to Justin on Thursday. He said they've got a lot of those little peewee calves. And guys, you want to get them, those ranch-raised peewee calves. You normally never get a chance to buy them. But he's got some yearlings there. And he said this sale on Friday is going to be pretty much the last of the yearling run coming out of that country. You know how dry it's been in western South Dakota there, and they've been right in it. Been real spotty around, but a lot of their producers have been suffering from drought. But the last of the yearlings in that country and the first of the spring calves. So starting at 10 o'clock here on Friday, they're going to have the yearling cattle. Then around 12:30 they'll get on the pairs. They've got several consignments of pairs, and then as soon as they get done with the pairs, they're going to go right into those spring calves. And they've got strings and strings and strings of ranch-raised 250 to 400 pound calves. When do you get a chance to buy those? What will they bring? Two something, Will they bring 210 or 235 or 250? What could they bring? But to get, and these are going to be really good genetic cattle. I mean, they're going to have quality to them. They're not hurt. The guys just got to get the calves off to try to save their grass as much as they can. And a lot of these calves will be coming, early, a lot early this whole year up in the Dakotas, eastern Montana, all of North Dakota. All those calves are going to come early this year. So a lot of these calves that they're selling here on Friday in St. Onge, they would normally not sell for another 2 or 3 months and another 100 to 150 pounds. But they got strings of them, little light peewee calves there, and they'll be the right kind. And man, just think if you could get some backgrounding on those, and you've got lots of options on those lightweight calves. And the bigger the cattle get, the fewer the options. But you buy a 300-pound calf, you can do a lot of different things, and I guarantee you they'll make money at some point if you're smart enough to take it. Let's talk about Nevada livestock marketing. I'm going out Friday morning early out of Amarillo and get into Fallon there right before the sale starts at Nevada Livestock Marketing in Fallon, Nevada. Jack's got close to 2,000 head on offer there for the monthly feeder cattle special. Including in there, he's got about 350 head from Lance Knutson. There'll be feeder type cattle there, mostly home raised, weighing in the 6s and the 7s, and those cattle mostly home raised. A few cattle bought right there in Fallon to add to them. He's got a string of 150 of these peewee calves, like I was talking about, that's going to be in St. Onge, weighing about 280 pounds, but really, really nice little calves. Talk about your markets and your auction sale barns on Thursday. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday at 154.36. That's down 37 cents. Look at some of your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, 2,600 head. Feeder steers, I can't use the the federal government market report or federal state market reports there in Kansas anymore. I talked to my old co-worker, Rich Aruska, when I was at King of the Ring there. He's just disgusted, in what market news has become. Gary Mills was there before him. They always had a top-rate market news program in Kansas. It has turned to shit. And they've got these reporters that got wicked wild swings and roller coaster in these trends, and I cannot keep up with them at all. So I'll just kind of go on the online automated market report from Cattle Market Central and call a trend. But Pratt had feeder steers selling from $2 to $6 higher. They were a little lower last week following that big special they had the week before. Feeder heifers were about steady and calves were not well tested. But a stick-out deal at Pratt, 60 head of 891-pound feeder steers bring 158.10. Go straight north of there. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, they had a good sale, about 3,100 head there. And I just pulled up the market report, automated market report from Cattle Market Central there, and you can see the trends on there. They're a little bit unevenly steady to slightly lower, but they had a hell of a good sale last week. But look at your best tested weights on steers. 614 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 754 pounds with a weighted average price of $159.80. 640 head of the 8-weight steers averaged 844 at $155.09. You look at the heifers, 457 head of your 7-weight heifers averaged 756 in Salina, Kansas on Thursday, with a weighted average price of $148.55. Talked to Jason Allen there at Lamoni Livestock, South Central Iowa. Lamoni, Iowa there. That's where my old neighbor M.L. McCrae, I told you before, there's two kinds of reputations in the cattle business. He had the good one and I had the other one, but M.L. McCrae knows how to background cattle and leave the good to them. He's sold in Lamoni forever. Had cattle in there on Thursday. Sold 2 loads of 850-pound steers in Lamoni at $163. How about Columbus, Nebraska? Columbus Sales Pavilion, 66 head of 882-pound steers bring $159. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Valentine, Nebraska. Imagine that. Witt Cattle Company had 173 head of 907-pound yearling feeder steers in Valentine. They bring 165.10 with no major programs on them other than certified Hereford. You heard me. That's your feeder flash for Friday.